Port of Houston is a testament to human ingenuity. It consists of public terminals, a massive turning basin, more than 150 private terminals, and one of the world's largest petrochemical complexes. But the port's strengths go beyond size. The Port of Houston Authority is the first in the country to meet international environmental management standards, and it's the first in the world to receive global security certification for its police and perimeter security operations. The Port of Houston delivers.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce invites you to join us at our Procurement Summit. The summit will be an opportunity for you to learn more about procurement opportunities at corporations and different entities in the city of Houston. Among our guests, we will have procurement officers who will explain what opportunities exist for your business. So we look forward to you joining us to learn more about increasing and growing your business.
El servicio celular de mejor precio ahora es nacional. Cricket Wireless ahora tiene cobertura en los 50 estados y a solo $30 al mes por llamadas y textos nacionales ilimitados. Eso es la mitad del precio de AT&T y Verizon, sin contratos ni depósitos. Todos los celulares están en oferta desde $19.99. Llamadas nacionales y textos ilimitados a solo $30 al mes. Eso es a lo que llamamos cobertura. Cricket Wireless. Cuidamos tu bolsillo.
We look forward to seeing you at our Health Summit. This will be our third Health Summit for the Chamber of Commerce, and at our Health Summit you'll have an opportunity to learn more about all the important changes that are going on within the health industry. In addition to that, you'll have the opportunity to meet health professionals and an opportunity to also promote and exhibit products and services provided by your business. So we look forward to seeing you at our upcoming Health Summit. What is the likelihood of the Obama administration taking on this issue this year?
Well, I'm encouraged by people like Angela that have stepped up and have been great advocates for the immigrant community and also for the business community, because the business community needs the immigrant worker. I'm hopeful that it'll come back on the agenda, but as Angela said, we need to talk about it. It is a complex issue. I think everyone agrees that the system's broken. Even people that don't want more immigrants here acknowledge that the system's broken. So I think it starts with dialogue, and it starts with letting our elected officials know that the system's broken.
A lot of people have actually thanked the Arizona law for bringing this back to the forefront, despite its negative impact on what many believe to be something that is definitely hurtful to the Hispanics that are in Arizona. What is the likelihood of something like that happening here in Texas, in your opinion?
I believe that that won't happen here. I think we have level-headed politicians that don't want to grandstand and don't want to score a few cheap points at the expense of the Hispanic population. So I don't think it'll happen here, but you know that we need dialogue to remind people how misguided that law is, and we need events like this that help publicize that.
Angela, you talked about some of the families that go to neighborhood centers for help. Is that confidential? Help them understand what kind of support that you can provide for them at their local centers, if
Well,
any.
first of all, I mean, I'm so glad you brought up what happened in Arizona, because you're exactly right, Laura. Everybody started paying more attention and saying, wow, this isn't what we want, really. And I understand the urge to do something, and because people are feeling fairly desperate. How do you manage a situation that seems to be frustrating for everyone, as Jacob said, hurts everyone, and seems to be out of control? So we have this frustration that the federal laws don't match what we are trying to do as a country with people who come here to work for a better life. I think recently the article that Forbes did that touted Houston as a model city, a city still with a robust economy, etc., mentioned that our welcome to newcomers is a critical part of what makes us strong, really what makes us model. So what we do at Neighborhood Centers Inc., because our entire purpose is to keep Houston a place of opportunity for everyone who comes here to work for a better life. What we're doing in the immigration forums is giving out accurate information. As Jacob said, it's It's dialogue like this so that people understand where we are, because if you're going to craft a reform, it has to be based on understanding where you are now so you know where you need to go. But in the meantime, people who are struggling in the system need the best possible information so they don't waste time or money on things that don't work, but can spend their resources wisely on things that will work for them, for their families. So we give out good information. We provide other kinds of help and education about what it means to be a good citizen. Many of the people we see are on their way to being citizens, and they're learning from these forums and the citizenship classes and language classes what civic participation is all about. And you'd be surprised, with all the hardship attached to not being a citizen, that the one thing that people look forward to the most is being able to vote. You know, you would think they would say, well, it'd be easier to do this or that, or it's really the privilege, as many see it, of having a voice in the country of their choice. And so we're inspired when we see that in people, and we see this sort of deep affection for a country that's given them opportunity. And we're still that beacon in the world. And I think we all really know that in a way. That's all our story. It's our collective story, that this is the place where freedom and democracy and capitalism come together to give the individual the best possible chance. So all we're trying to do now through conversations like this one and all the other work we're doing is to educate and inform people so that we can get our laws to match our aspirations. And so I have great confidence in Texas that our approach is going to be more thoughtful and fair and more effective. But at the same time, we know it has to change at the federal level. So we hope our leaders at that level step up and do what they know is right. Sometimes the only voices we hear are the loud ones at either end. And those ultimately aren't the voices that craft the policies and the laws that get us out of the mess we're in. So.
Okay. Jacob, you talked about myths earlier. Isn't one of the biggest myths that the undocumented here are draining our resources and that don't contribute to society?
Yeah, clearly that is a big myth. Study after study shows that immigrants contribute more to the economy than they take back. How? Primarily because they're using, by and large, fake Social Security numbers. They're paying into our Social Security system, and they're not getting any benefit in return. Mm-hmm. But additionally, they pay property taxes, sales taxes, income taxes. So they do pay their fair share of taxes, but we need to regularize their status so that it can be counted to the individual worker that contributes to the federal fund. So they do pay taxes. Now they do use, some of them do use social services, but even when you take into account the social services they use, it's still a net positive for the economy.
What they're putting into the system itself.
Yes.
So what are some key messages, Jacob, from a perspective of an attorney, for that small business owner that may be watching, the things that they really need to look out for to protect themselves?
Number one, you do need the I-9 form for all of your employees. You should make sure that the I-9 form is completed accurately. Keep the I-9 form separate from your personnel files. Additionally, you should not knowingly hire people that are undocumented. If you know definitively that they're undocumented, you shouldn't hire them. There are civil penalties, there are criminal penalties, so you need to be aware of that. And lastly, as business owners, you need to talk to your elected officials. I mean, we're hearing that the status quo is bad for children, bad for families. It's also bad for business, and we need business owners to chime in with their elected officials and say, hey, we need relief. This is the status quo is bad. The status quo is amnesty. For those that hate the word amnesty, doing nothing is amnesty. Doing nothing is good for the document vendors, the human smugglers. We need to change the law.
Okay. Angela, any final comments?
Only this, that as this debate gets more and more intense, and as the voices get more and more strident, I would ask that the listeners go to the trouble to learn, to listen and to learn and to read the facts. one of the things we've done is put out information. It doesn't advocate for any particular legislation. It provides an understanding of how laws really work, who we're really talking about, because there's a great misunderstanding about who these people are. And so if we will go to the trouble to listen, to learn, and to approach this with an open mind and an open heart, I believe we can do the right thing. And I invite people to visit our website, your website. There is information on both that can help people understand and make a good decision about how to move forward.
Very good. Well, we thank both of you participating with us here on Contacto and all the support that we get from each of you for our Chamber of Commerce.